All living things are made of carbon. Carbon is also found in our atmosphere, the ocean, and even in soil and sediments. Carbon doesn't stay still. It is constantly moving and changing form. This is called the global carbon cycle. Carbon is released into the atmosphere by breathing creatures, volcanic eruptions, and decaying matter. When animals and plants die, the carbon stored in their bodies can become stored in sediments and released into the atmosphere. Plants absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere during photosynthesis. Therefore, environments like rainforests are an important part of the carbon cycle because they absorb large amounts of carbon from the atmosphere. This makes them a carbon sink. The Earth's oceans are also an important carbon sink since carbon dioxide from the atmosphere dissolves in the surface waters of the ocean and can become stored in the sediment on the ocean floor. All sources and sinks make up the carbon cycle. Around 200 years ago, humans started impacting the cycle by burning fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas. These fossil fuels are the carbon remains of creatures that have died thousands of years ago. By burning them, it releases thousands of years' worth of carbon back into our atmosphere in the form of carbon dioxide. At the same time, humans started cutting down trees, which reduces the amount of carbon dioxide that can be absorbed from the atmosphere. Therefore, we now have more and more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, but less carbon sinks to help cycle it back into other forms. Why is too much carbon dioxide a problem? Well, carbon dioxide, or CO2, is a greenhouse gas. Greenhouse gases, like CO2, form a layer in Earth's atmosphere that trap heat from the sun. This is called the greenhouse effect. Without the greenhouse effect, Earth would be too cold for living things to survive. But when too many greenhouse gases build up in the atmosphere, it traps more heat than we need. There are other greenhouse gases, such as methane, nitrous oxide, and even water vapor. However, we now have more and more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The buildup of these greenhouse gases in our atmosphere over the last 200 years is now causing temperatures to rise and interfering with Earth's ability to sustain life. This is causing more extreme weather events worldwide, such as stronger and more destructive hurricanes, more severe droughts and flooding, and more intense heat waves. These large climatic shifts will also affect where food can be grown and the diverse habitats of species worldwide. Also, as temperatures rise, polar ice caps and glaciers worldwide are beginning to melt, which is causing sea levels to rise, threatening coastal communities and low-lying islands. As the ocean begins to absorb more excess carbon, it becomes more acidic, affecting the growth of coral reefs and animals with calcium carbonate shells. The warming of the oceans is increasing coral bleaching and threatening other ocean life. So you may be wondering, what do I have to do with this? What is our role in the greenhouse effect? Well, you and everything you own has a carbon footprint. This is the mark you leave on the environment from the carbon emissions produced directly or indirectly by almost everything you do or use. So how big is your carbon footprint? Well, let's look at an example. When you drive a car to school, you're releasing carbons from the engine. But that's not all. Don't forget about the carbons that come from drilling the oil to fuel your car. What about the carbons released transporting that oil? And the carbons released transporting that car? And what about the carbons released while the car is being built? Now try to think about all the things you use on a daily basis. See? Your carbon footprint is much larger than you thought. But here are some ways to reduce it. Instead of driving your gas-guzzling car to school or work every day, you can drive an electric vehicle, ride a bike, take the bus, or carpool. Instead of buying fruit from places across the ocean, buy local fruits and vegetables from the farmer's market to reduce the food miles and carbon emissions used to transport them. Or better yet, grow your own food. Because raising and feeding livestock produces carbon and methane emissions. Limiting the amount of meat you consume, especially beef, can significantly lower your carbon footprint. Consuming less and buying used items also reduces your footprint by reducing the CO2 emitted from the factories where items are made and the transportation used to get them to you. Even more important than our individual impact is the work we can do together in our own communities. Together we can invest in clean energy technologies and innovative solutions. Vote for leaders who act on climate change and organize rallies in support of climate action. Using the internet and social media, we can raise awareness and connect with others globally who share our passion for protecting our Earth and future generations.